The show is about to start. Thank you for your cooperation. Enjoy the show, and please come back and visit us again.
Hi everybody, Nick Draper and Stuart Deakins here with the 9 Years Podcast, iTunes, YouTube, 9yrspodcast.org. Starting the show this week with a favourite of Wimbledon fans everywhere. 5 seemed an obvious choice this week, as that's the number of goals we've scored in League One since March, the number of points we've won at Kingsmeadow this season, and also the number of ways in which Stu believes we can turn our form around this season. And that is our main topic this week, as we discuss our descent into the relegation zone. Abdou and a preview of the Oxford game to come as well. But first, a look back at the draw with Rochdale. Stu, I think I'm out of questions, to be honest. We're talking about the same things week after week after week. So to help us out a little bit, I am introducing a new feature to the podcast in response to the return of Darius Charles to first team action. It is time for Darius Charleston.
Oh dear.
Well, you recognise that music. That is the Strictly Come Dancing music. So basically, I have asked the Strictly Come Dancing judges to give their scores out of 10 for Darius Charles' performance, and I'm going to ask them to do that for every single game he plays. So, do we want to see what they did? Let's try and predict as well, maybe, before ahead of time, what they're going to say, okay? So let's... Well, the judges' scores are in. So, Craig Revel Horwood, what do you think, Stu? How much has he given?
I reckon he'll be very critical, I reckon. So I reckon he will give him a 5.
5. He's very critical, though. I'm going to go 4. 3? Oh, wow. He really didn't rate that performance. He's quite harsh, though, isn't he, Craig Revel Horwood?
He is. He's a bit of a strange person. Darius, don't worry about him too much.
Okay. What about... So, Darcy Bussell, then. Darcy Bussell. Now, Darcy Bussell's a bit of my... Is she a weird crush or a secret crush? I don't know. Kind of fancy Darcy Bussell. Just me?
Yeah, just you.
Okay. What do you reckon her score is?
Well, she quite likes she's quite an admirer of footwork, isn't she? And sort of rhythm. And Darius, we understand, has that in abundance. So I reckon she would like his posture and his twinkle toes. I reckon she would go and give him a 6.
A 6. Craig Revel Horwood gave a 3. So you think she's going to give him double what Craig gave?
Yeah, she don't like Craig, does she?
Okay. I'm going to say 5.
A delight, 5.
5. Thank you. Thank you very much. Told you.
Fix.
Fix?
Fix.
How is this a fix? I haven't even listened to this audio yet. Okay, next judge is...
Shirley Ballas.
I don't know who that is. Shirley Ballas. Ballas? I didn't catch that. Shirley, you can't be serious. I don't know. No idea who this person is.
Me neither.
What will she give?
I don't know her, so I will just go, if the other lady gave a 5, I reckon she'd copy and go for 5 as well.
Okay. This used to be Len Goodman, didn't it, back in the day?
Yeah, where's Len gone now? I said Len would have given Darius, there he goes, a 7.
Brilliant.
Yeah, see.
Yeah, we don't have that luxury, do we, now he's gone? Just have to hear what Shirley gave. Shirley said...
4.
Okay, she's gone midway between Craig and Darcy. That makes sense, I guess. So 4. Did I predict? I didn't predict in the end, did I? That was
didn't.
Silly. No, I got carried away. Okay, I'd have said 4, though, definitely. Definitely. Last one then, yes, Bruno Tonioli, who my brother Chris models himself on Bruno Tonioli because he can't stay sat down. I'm going to go for 4 again. I think he normally copies whatever the judge before does, so 4.
Oh, see, I think he want to be a bit outrageous, wouldn't he, and be a bit... I'll still go for a 5, I think.
And Bruno Tonioli, 4.
Oh, that's 2 out of 4 for me, and I didn't even predict 1. So Darcy Bussell, I said 5. She went 5. Bruno Tonioli, 4. I win this week. If this is a game to be won, I don't know.
They're very
claiming victory.
They're very harsh on Darius, aren't they?
Well, so he got a total out of a possible 40. He got a total of 16.
Very harsh.
What would you give him? What would you give Darius for his performance as a centre forward against Rochdale for however long it was? What was it, 20, 25 minutes?
I'd have gave him a 6. I thought he tried hard. I have this issue that I can't judge him completely on a centre forward performance because he's not a centre forward. No matter how many times people keep saying to me he played there for Stevenage, he's not a centre forward. So it's very hard to judge him. But I will give him a 6.
Now, we had this conversation last week, isn't it? Is it that big of a problem for us that Darius Charles is being used as a centre forward?
Yeah, it's a little bit because it's basically highlighting a problem that we've got, isn't it? I said to you before, when Neil Ardley was on record, I think in one of the London online news networks or that was released on Sunday, saying that when he looked at the bench, Darius was the only person on his bench that was able to win a header to them effects. It's not paraphrasing a little bit. That's quite a damning statement if you're saying at this stage you have nobody else on your bench that can do a job that you know needs to be done, and you're chucking the centre half. I just think it just causes all sorts of problems. I don't think you're using Darius in the right position. You can be more effective elsewhere, but that would probably mean changing a formation probably to get him involved with Will Nightingale and Deji, who I wouldn't drop at all at the moment.
But if Neil Ardley is saying he had to bring on Darius Charles as a centre forward because he's the only one that can win a ball in the air, basically, what would he have done had Kwesi Appiah still been fit?
Great question. Well, he'll probably still persevere, wouldn't he? Because that's what he's been doing. He's just persevering. We're just very easy to defend against, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? There's nothing different. We can't do nothing different. We're a team that's not in form, very, very low on confidence. And what happens sometimes when you are in a situation where you're low on confidence, if you have the big old-fashioned lump up front, you can sometimes disguise that, and it's an easy ball. It's a cheap ball out to your centre forward. We don't have that, so I can see why Neil Ardley wanted to bring Darius on, but I just have a real issue that we're relying on a centre half to do that role. I just don't see how we got to that. I don't know why we've got to this situation. It
has made me wonder, just thinking when you said that, when you mentioned that comment about winning balls in the air, and thinking in that same situation against Rochdale, if we imagine that Kwesi was fit and Kwesi was in the starting lineup and it wasn't happening for us. Of course, this is the biggest hypothetical question ever, so I probably shouldn't bother. But say that was what happened. Say Kwesi started and we were just as impotent as we were on Saturday, needed a goal, and he had Cody McDonald and Darius Charles on the bench. And which one does he bring on in place of Kwesi Appiah? He probably brings on Darius instead of Cody because of the aerial threat.
Possibly, but the other way he's done it before is he's gone a 4 across the bottom, 4 across the. So he's brought on Ego, hasn't he? Ego Kaja. So he's moved Lally inside. So what he's done, he's played a 4. So he's played technically either a 4-2-4 or that sort of formation. That's probably the only option he's really got. That's what I wish in a way we had done on Saturday. Just something different. We didn't. There sometimes becomes a stage where, the argument was that our two centre halves were so composed and didn't have any problems. Yeah, because they weren't marking anybody. They literally were marking one person between them. So I never understand it. If you're only marking one person, that's all Rochdale were going to stick up front on Saturday. Why do you want 4 people? Why do you want four defenders? Just all you got to do is go to 3 at the back, lose a full back or whatever, and then push it a bit more forward. You don't need 2 and maybe 1 on the cover marking one man. You don't need it. It's a waste. And that's why when we looked at man of the match, we said Deji, didn't we? We thought Deji would got ours, and Will, don't get me wrong, Will was just as good. But were they that? Did Rochdale really put us under that much of pressure to justify that, or was it a case that actually Rochdale were quite happy to let both our centre halves have the ball? Because what did they have to aim at? They had nothing to aim at, and it just become like a Groundhog Day where it just become transition after transition, ball into midfield, ball wide, ball to Lyle, cross in, cleared. It become that monotonous thing.
But Deji, I think, he looked like he is a whole level above anybody else on the pitch on Saturday. I know saying he didn't have much to do defensively and because of the way Rochdale were, but just in the way he, what was it in the second half? Another huge clearance by Rochdale, which he took down with his first touch, killed the ball stone dead. It had dropped from some ridiculous height. Turns, plays the ball into Will, and he's off, and he's gone for the 1-2, and then he's pushing us forward. And then, even in the first half, right in front of us down the side, he turns up in the left wing position, and he just breezes past their fullback like he's not there. Just made it look easy. Just looks a class above. But anyway, the substitutions, we've got to talk about the substitutions. You've referenced them there. It is a crazy situation for me. I know what you're saying about maybe going 3 at the back, and I think this is all coming down to the nervousness and the fear that Neil Ardley has at the moment, because he's worried that if he does that, and then Rochdale get a break and they score, and we lose the game, then things are 10 times worse than they are, even though we're not particularly happy with the 0-0. If we'd have lost it, it would have been even worse. So I get that. But you're right. Look at that team that finished the game on Saturday. And on the 11 players you've got on the pitch to win a game of football, you have got, no disrespect, okay, so George Long, ignore the goalkeeper. You've got Barry Fuller, Dead Josh Larger, Will Nightingale, George Frankham, Jimmy Abdu, Liam Trotter, Tom Swords, and Darius Charles. You could probably argue you've got, how many is that? 8 players? 8 players that are more defensively minded than they are attack minded.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. And it's the thing though, isn't it? You know, it feels to me we're almost scared of winning the game, because by trying to win the game, you leave yourself a potential of losing a game. That's what it feels like. But, you know, you and I chat about this, weren't we? You know, sometimes you look at the championship. Sometimes championship, you get teams that win, lose, because actually a draw does them no good after a while. You know, you lose, for our sake, you get 2 draws on a trot, or you get 3 draws on a trot. You're better off sometimes win, losing. Actually, over a period of time, you get more points in the bag. You know, yes, get another point in the bag, but it doesn't really do much for us. It still moved us a point on Saturday, dropped us into the bottom 4. So we're already in there now. So we've got, you know, thankfully Plymouth for 4 points beyond us, so we know that we can't go bottom on one game. But if we're just picking up draws, then we're not moving anywhere. The teams around us who are getting maximum points, so you look at Oldham, the Burys, they've all got maximum points and clearing themselves away from us all now. So it's almost scared to lose. You know, the subs that we had on the bench, I'm thinking we had Anthony Hartigan.
Yeah.
Was Eggle on the bench again? Wasn't he?
Egley, yeah.
So Egley, sorry. So you got 2. I always call him Eggle. I just can't keep calling him that. She's got 2 technically attacking players that we've chosen not to go with, and we've gone for the same old. We haven't really. You know, Neil Hardy said in the iFollow interview after the game that Bartram was out on his feet, and from all accounts, Dean Parrott looked like he picked up a knock and you know, from what Kevin Boris was saying to us, did actually pass off corner off to George Frankham because whatever happened to him. So you could say, okay, those substitutions were enforced because the reaction wasn't good on Saturday when we saw Jimmy Abdu and Darius Charles coming on. The reaction said it all, didn't it? You know, there's a few some murmurings amongst the crowd, would say.
There were some boos. There were definitely 100% some boos.
But of course, if a manager can't justify there and then why he's doing a substitution. It's not American football where you can all of a sudden get a tan on and go, I'm making a substitution because such and such is injured. But there were surely other attacking options that we could have. You know, Jimmy would run around all day, but Andy Hartigan could pick out a pass easily. And, you know, we've seen it before, haven't we? You know, in the Gillingham game, from memory corrects me, you know, getting the ball and then able to spray it. Bit of pace, get a picture in his head. Egley will run down. You know, Egley could have gone in there, and then you could have moved Lyle on one and moved Lyle into the middle. So, but it just feels, like I say, it just feels he'd rather keep it tight and scared to win a game. And I think fans would be more on the side at the moment if there was an attacking substitution, and if Rochdale did go away and break, I think you get more of a, do you know what, we went for it. Rather than going, we just picked up a point and bored. Let's be fair, that was the most boring game, and I'm struggling to watch games at the moment. They're not very eventful, are they?
There was a girl 2 rows in front of us who was watching a film on her iPad. I was so jealous of that girl. I wish I could. I was just thinking of all the things I could have stuck on my laptop maybe and brought along and watched that instead, because there was nothing going out on the pitch. It was mentioned to us by Matt Harwood at half-time. He said people were leaving so early before half-time to go into the bar because they were in no doubt whatsoever they weren't going to miss anything. They were not going to miss anything. And the exodus at about 80 minutes, people were leaving, and then just a continuous flow of people not worried about missing anything for the remaining 10 minutes.
It's so hard, though, isn't it? Because, you know, you and I, we want we're as passionate as an ex-fan. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to be trying to pick holes in what's happening and the negativity, but also we want to have something that's going to encourage us to get off our seat. But you and you were obviously sitting in front of me on Saturday, and I looked and both thought our body language was just like, oh, nothing's going to really happen. I might as well. It felt like I wasn't watching a game that was involving my team because I couldn't get myself to be excited about that we're going to score a goal because I've seen it all season. So you sort of go, it's when you sing a film and you go, yeah, I've seen the ending of this. You sort of know what's going to happen. And it's so frustrating, but it didn't surprise.
It's kind of like watching John Cena wrestle. You know what's going to happen at the end. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's why people. That's why people are leaving, and it's that thing. I think people want to be entertained. It's an entertaining business. If we're going to go down, let's go down fighting. I know it's very, very early on, but we've got to accept that we're in a bottom four now. And we've said so many times before when we've seen teams like Port Vale come to us and Chesterfield before them, they look a relegation team. I'm sorry, but I'm looking at my team at the moment and thinking, this team looks like a relegation team at the moment.
There was one moment in the second half where I turned around to say something to you and you were slumped in your seat backwards and you couldn't hear me. So you had to sort of sit upright and lean forward. And I could just tell by the look on your face, you were just thinking, damn it, I actually have to move.
Yeah.
I can't be bothered. Don't get me, actually. I was quite happy just falling asleep. It was like that. But it's true. And unfortunately, and again, as we say, we don't want to be negative, but we don't want to sugarcoat this, and we want to be realistic and reflect what's going on. And be honest with you, the whole atmosphere around Kings Meadow at the moment is one of a team and a club that is just, it's not right. There's no atmosphere. There's no liveliness. A few weeks back, I think it might have been after the Portsmouth game, and forgive me if this was you, but we had a three-word match report, from somebody, and it was simply, where's the fun? And it just feels like that at Kings Meadow. If someone was attending their first game, if they were going along, get a ticket to go and watch Wimbledon this week, see what that's like, maybe they've just moved to the area or something, what was there on Saturday that would entice them to come back in a couple of weeks' time? Nothing.
I think it's just a match day experience at the moment. I'm just wondering, for argument's sake, we're good friends with Mikey T. Sometimes, we used to, had the games against Crawley and the games when you'd have all the music, like the real, the real sort of like, you used to go Wembley. Do you remember you go Wembley? You have all the classics, all the cup final songs, and we've got them all like Hey Jude and that sort of thing. You sort of wonder sometimes if it needs something just to. The thing is, the team have got to get the fans going. That's what's got to happen. It very rarely works the other way around. I don't think, the fans get the team going. If it does, then there's a problem. Your team should be the one that lead by example on the pitch. But Saturday started off okay. Andy Bartram was again excellent down the wing, and he had his beating with his fullback every time. But there was no end product, so it just then drifted out. And it was like the old days when you used to go to like Leeds or Man United, and you knew if you'd done 20 minutes, if you did 20 minutes, you'd actually all the home fans would get disheartened and start turning against the team. Whereas ours is a little bit different. It's like, if you can keep us to 20 minutes, we run out of ideas, and it's sort of that's where we are.
Mm. And we won't necessarily turn against the team. We're not like that as a crowd or a fan base, but it'll just go quiet.
Yeah, and then the team then get affected by it. So effectively what you do, if you keep it quiet for 20, 25 minutes at our place, you technically dampen the team, because it's like, well, we've just given you our best stuff and we haven't broken through. It's that. It feels like that at the moment. We just lack that confidence, and confidence is something that you just can't stumble across. You've got to build and keep doing the same things and keep working on the training field. And I get when Neil Hardy's saying that, but there does seem to be an issue at the moment, doesn't there? And it's not just confidence, I don't believe.
You said earlier, you touched on it, about us being easy to defend against. Is that not half the problem, or even a lot of the problem? Andy Bartram starts the game very well, and as you say, beats his fullback. But how many times have we been there in this season where Andy Bartram has had the beating of the fullback, but once he's past it, they know, flood our box with defenders, cross is going to come in, we're going to deal with it easily. It seems to be time and time again, that seems to be the situation. Teams set up deep against us. I think you mentioned it. Who was it? It might have even been Milton Keynes, actually. Andy Bartram can beat his fullback all day long, and they're quite happy to let the fullback be in a position where he's one-on-one. You don't see that very often. You normally like to double up on your tricky wingers and your fast wingers, don't you, teams are quite happy to let him just go one-on-one because they flood the box and they know that the end product is just not going to be there, partly because Bartram's perhaps playing on the opposite wing to which foot he prefers to use. But
yeah, you're right.
The flip side to that is as well, not the flip side, sorry, but the addition to that is we don't then ever, aside from Bartram being his fullback, we don't ever get in behind any other way.
No, we don't. Lyle's not getting in behind too much. Lyle would try and get in front of his man, hold his body shape, maybe roll a defender if he can do, and get that sort of side. And you're right, Andy Bartram, gets past his fullback for fun sometimes. I sometimes get a little bit frustrated. Not that I ever should encourage cheating or, as they call it, gamesmanship, in other parts of the world. But you sometimes wish for Andy Bartram, if he does get into the box. There was an example where he beat his fullback, got into the box, and then I think he got nudged out. But what actual defender was literally right on the back of him. And all you want to do in sometimes in situations is just let him just slow down a little bit. Feel the touch. It's called gamesmanship nowadays, but you know what? We need to start doing these things. You need to start doing things differently, because when we're getting into the box, he's getting on that touchline, but because you've got everyone flooding we don't get enough bodies into the box. So actually you tend to get outnumbered by the defence, it's that sort of thing. But yeah, if you're gonna set up against us, you would literally just say, make sure you push them wide. You push your fullbacks, press high, either make them go long to the to the centre forward, or if you're gonna let a ball out, let it go out, wide. And I don't think it matters who's on there, because I don't think Lyle is a natural winger. He's a forward turn winger. And Andy Bartram, as you say, is on his wrong foot. But he's had a great. Don't get me wrong, Andy Bartram's had a great season and can hold his head up quite high. But we're just not getting the assists from him at all. And
of course, he was one of our better players on Saturday, and he had to come off. He was substituted. Another one of those players was Dean Parrott, like you've mentioned. Aside from perhaps giving him a little bit more licence to get forward, which he did at times, and looked fairly threatening, especially in that first half. Apart from that, what did Tom Sawers and Liam Trotter offer? Aside from giving that protection that allows Dean Parrott maybe to have a bit more freedom, what did they offer us on Saturday?
I think they do. I think that's what they do. They basically allow Dino to push forward. I thought, by the way, he had an outstanding first half. I really did. All the things that we like from Dino, one thing we like about him is that he goes and basically attacks at the heart of a team.
It runs at people.
Yeah, he commits people to go forward. And you sometimes, I've been critical sometimes where he's taking too many touches, but I think that's just because I think we know he's a lot better than what he's performed recently. But I thought he was excellent. He was committing defenders. But again, the problem you've got is that when he's actually driving forward, you've got Andy Bartram one side, too wide. You've got Lyle too wide the other side. And you've got a Cody McDonald who's got two probably centre-halves and can't really make the runs because they're just so deep. No one really comes out against us because we're not going to get beaten behind. So actually, what you do, you defend a little bit deep, and then you basically close out. But I thought we had a really good first half, and I think in the moment he justifies his starting position. I don't think there's any problems with that. The flip side to that is it looks like it's either only him or or Harry Forrester. Sorry, doesn't look like Neil Ardie wants to have them both on the pitch. Which is a frustration because it then means when Harry Forrester wants to get his half an hour or 20 minutes, the one to be sacrificed is Dean Parrott.
Yeah, and on Saturday when Dean Parrott did come off and Forrest comes on, whatever, but we still got Trotter and Sawers on. What was their role? What were they meant to be doing?
Oh yeah, your question wasn't it?
No, I didn't. To be fair, I didn't actually. To be fair, I didn't get to that point. No, you answered my question. But moving on, the next point would be after the substitution. So we knew what they did when Dino was on the pitch, and you can sort of understand what their role was when Dean was there. When Jimmy Abdou comes into midfield, what do Sawers and Trotter do? For me, to be honest, nothing.
I don't know. We sat there, didn't we? I think you said to me, "What are we playing now?" And I'm thinking, we've not changed formation. We've still got Lard out wide. Harry Forrester's taking where Bartram's come off. And it just looked to me like the Tom Sawers, Liam Trotter and Jimmy Abdou are in there. It looked like Liam was the further forward of the three, but I don't know. I still can't work it out now. Because the reason I wanted to answer that was because we were obviously on our Facebook Live after the game and try and give a bit of an insight of how we changed. I couldn't tell you. It just looked like it didn't change too much. It was the same formation, but actually rather than having Bartram out wide and Parrott in the middle, who were doing really well. And like I say, if Neil Ardie says they're injured, then they're injured. There's nothing, or then they're tired, and there's nothing you can do about it. But it just felt the wrong sub. You got three defensive-minded midfielders in there, and all you're doing is knocking balls wide. And we sometimes get to a stage where it's like, it feels to me sometimes like it's the Barry Fuller, Lyle Taylor show late on sometimes, because that's all where we seem to attack from, isn't it? Them two interchanging, Barry pushing past him or Lyle going over, sort of overlapping him and stuff like that. But all we're trying to do is knock balls into the box and hope. And this is the word at the moment. It's hoping it's going to hit someone's head, hit someone's thigh, hit their thigh, whatever, to get a goal. We just have no spark or imagination at the moment to create that goal that we need.
Also, going back to those substitutions, like you said at the time when it was made, you've got to win after those substitutions, you've got to win the game, because lots and lots of questions will be asked of Neil Ardley. Now, West Ham had a very similar situation on Saturday, in which the manager made some unpopular substitutions, but they've ended up winning. They've got the goal, so he's got away with it. And Neil Ardley, unfortunately, at the time being, you can argue the luck. There is an element of luck at the moment as well that plays a part, and nothing seems to be falling for us at the moment. We mentioned the fact about the Gillingham goalkeeper, didn't we? Having a worldie against us and then dropping 2 over the line the following Saturday. It's just the way it goes. But sadly, the buck does stop at the moment with Neil Ardley. I think Neil knows that as well. And I remain fully behind him, of course. I think I will always do.
We both do. We both do. But you talk about luck. You talk about luck, and I think and forgive me if this is anyone listening here who has the same opinion, but I hear too many times at the moment that it's a really good team on paper, and it will come together. Just need a little bit of luck, and once we get the first goal, it'll be flying. I struggle to believe that, because
but Will Nightingale in his Man of the Match interview after the game said exactly those words, and I thought it never had the sense of, if we get one, all our problems are solved and we're going to start scoring regularly every single game. It just doesn't have that ring to it at the moment, or that air about it.
No, we've watched the team all season, so there's not much that you and I don't know about this team or have seen about the team. We don't look like a team that's going to thrash a team. We don't look like that. We don't look like we're a team that can carve out chance after chance after chance. We're a very good workmanlike team, and yes, we can play pretty football here and there and stuff like that. But I just think we're a little bit. Well, I think we're kidding ourselves if we think that a bit of luck is going to save our season. The stats don't lie. It's now 15 games we haven't scored in our last 20. That doesn't suggest to you that that's luck. So I think sometimes, and we're going to touch onto it. So I'm not going to spoil the main feature we've got. But I think sometimes you just have to accept the situation we're in and stop trying, rather than trying to say, Joe, what we're getting, it's going to be 1 goal and we're fine. I think we have to accept the situation. Just quickly, the manager down at Plymouth, I've got his name now, a Scottish guy.
Derek Adams.
That's the one. I see an interview of him after the weekend, and he come out and accepted. He come out and accepted we're not playing well. My aim now is to prove the fans wrong. I.e., he's up against it, but he's coming out fighting, and I like that. That's what I want. I don't want at the moment just, we're not on a bad run and, we've not got thrashed or we've not got turned over. The table still says we're in the bottom 4, and that's what's not lying at the moment.
And, so you've pretty much talked about it there, but Neil Ardley then, he's under a little bit of pressure with certain members of our fan base. His interview following the Rochdale game came across as a man to me that was evidently feeling the pressure. What were your impressions of that I Follow interview?
Frustrated, really, because Neil Ardley, to me, I've been fortunate enough to talk to him, meet the managers and stuff. He's a very, very honest, straight individual and calls it as it is. And to me, it felt like he was trying to justify the substitutions because he got a little bit of a rough end of the crowd, which no one wants. No one wants that. Do you know what I mean? It can't be nice when you hear fans boo your decision. That's not nice. He's a manager of our team. We should support him. But, that happens sometimes. But he's normally very honest, straightforward. And I was disappointed when we tried to allude that we're not on a bad run. We haven't got smashed by 4 or 5. I just felt that was papering. It felt like it was papering over the cracks. And fans are not stupid. Fans pay to watch the game. They see it out there. They may not know tactically move for move, but they know when a team is struggling and needs a little bit of an injection of something. I don't know what it is. I'm not a manager. I've got my ideas, but I'm not the one that's paid to do that and put us ahead on a block each week. Do you know what I mean? But we're all fully behind him. There's no, I'm not one that's going to be calling for his head or what people say. I think we've still got a very, very good manager. He's going through a dodgy, he's just going through a difficult patch. But we'll get him.
Yeah, and also with Neil Ardley, I said before the start of the season, and I thought, and people that haven't read my article who are probably hearing this for the first time, feel free to slate me if you wish, it's fine. But I said before the start of the season, I see Neil Ardley as being a Premier League manager in the making. And the reason I say that is because I am convinced that every single game, every single Saturday, Neil is beating himself up about even if against Doncaster if he won, he'll be beating himself about it. He'll always be looking to improve. He'll always be asking questions. The first person he will ask questions of is himself. And that's why that's partly one of the reasons at the moment I'm a little bit confused as to some of his decisions that do seem a little bit expecting different results despite not changing what you do to affect them, if you know what I mean.
I suppose the thing you could ask at the moment is, does he need a support of his board at the moment? So,
do you mean publicly?
No, not publicly, because I don't think we don't get the old expression I keep hearing all the time, don't get too excited when you win, don't get too depressed when you lose. I keep hearing that all the time at the moment. But what I mean by that is, does he need help? Has he gone to his board and gone, look, we didn't get a target man during the window. What's available out there as a free transfer? So Oldham have gone and got 2 or 3 players already. So you can't loan anybody in, but you can sign a player that is out of contract, who is unattached to anybody. So has he gone to his board and gone, look, it's obvious I'm missing that. I looked at my bench on Saturday, and the only person I had was Darius Charles, who's my centre-half. What can we do? What's the budget, Or are the club going, actually, the budget we gave you is what you spent, and we've got nothing until January. So I'm not saying the board should speak out, but what is our position in terms of expectation this year? We heard a lot in the season, I think bravado, but, mid-table, potentially go for a playoff position. But we're now sitting in a position where we can all clearly see what the issue is. Has he gone? Does he need support of his board by them going? Well, we might be able to give you this. We might be able to give you that. That's how I mean by the support wise.
We don't have that. We don't have that finance at the moment, though, do we?
I don't know. Time
of recording, by the way, we all talk about finance and new stadium and how important that will be into our future progress. But time of recording, we are in October, and yet no word on the S106 either, which we were told would be signed by the end of September. So that's a little bit of another concern at the moment, just to chew up even more. But just to really finish up on this, you say Neil Ardley talking about not being in poor form. I kind of get him. We are in poor form by the nature of the fact that we're 19th in the form table. We're 21st in Division 1, and we've only scored 5 goals in 17 league games and not scored in 75% of our last 20 games. And you could look at the stats I did the other day. If you were to look at our last 23 games and then extrapolate from that a full 46-game season in League One, if we were to repeat the 23 games we just played over the next 23 games, we would have we will earn ourselves 40 points, which is enough to finish bottom of the division, and we'd have scored 22 goals. So yes, we are in poor form. However, I do have some sympathy with Neil Ardley when he says that, because I think only 4 teams in the division have conceded fewer goals than us. So we've got the 5th or joint 5th best defence in the whole league. And the 4 teams that have conceded fewer goals than us, they're all in the top 7. So we're not far away, are we? We're not far away at all from being a good side.
Yeah, I know where you're coming from on that. What I would argue and challenge you, though, is that we are a team that is set up not to lose. And the 4-3-3 formation is a little bit of a red herring, because we have Lyle and Andy Bartram, who work the hardest to get back in cover. And we know that because Lyle spends most of his time as a right back at the moment. So that 4-3-3 can turn easily into a 4-5-1 and become defensive. And you're right, if you keep a clean sheet, the old argument is, if you keep a clean sheet, you've got a chance of winning a game. But you can't, at the moment, we can't score. So I think we are that good defensively because we don't overcommit. We're probably a great away team, but our home games, when the home team it's up to the home team to force the game. That's our Achilles heel at the moment. That's what we need to resolve.
Right, let's get some 3-word reports from Twitter. So at 9YRS Podcast, hashtag Don's 3-word report. If you want to have a scan for these yourself, do so, because we had loads this week. So many. I wish we could read them all out, but we just wouldn't have the time, unfortunately. Although we do find time to talk nonsense about wrestling and stuff. But sorry, guys, we have had a look, and our top three this week, Stu. First of all, Edo at Ian Edwards 68. I'm not saying this is particularly one of our favourites, but it is the mood of a number of these reports that we got down by February. Somewhat dispiriting, but that reflects and is reflecting the mood of a lot of the people we're speaking to and hearing from at the moment, isn't it? Big worries about relegation. Mike Hasty at Mike Hasty 77. Don't know when. I don't know where. Don't know when. But I know we'll score again some more likely or not rainy day, looking at the weather forecast for October. Maybe we won't score in October. Who knows? We seem to be going backwards, don't we? Did we score 3 goals in August, 2 in September? We'll only get 1 in November. Or October even, if I can get my calendar correct. Dear me, honestly. Days of the year, they're not difficult. Right, Nick T at Tireldo. He went for checkbook and pen. Now, I like this because in typical English literature type student way, I'm probably finding deeper meaning in this than the writer ever intended. Okay, I think the meaning is checkbook and pen, we need to sign players, otherwise we're in trouble. So January comes along, we need to add to the squad. However, I also liken checkbook and pen to blankety blank, and the fact that our score sheet regularly at the moment is indeed blankety blank.
Clever.
But again, he might not have meant that, Nick. Nick, if you did mean it that way, if you did have that double meaning, please let me know. If I've been a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Is pompous is the word, perhaps? Possibly a little bit? Then please let me know. But anyway, elsewhere in League One then on Saturday, Stu, who had the best result of the other teams in division, in your opinion?
Joe, it got to a stage. Do you remember the season we stayed up against Fleetwood last game of the season, Jack Midson?
Yes.
And we got to a stage where we didn't want to look at the other results.
Yeah.
That's what I've got like already at the moment. So, yeah, Joe, what? There was, for me, there was a couple of standout ones, but the ones that I thought was, unfortunately, Oxford going to Peterborough.
Yeah.
And winning 4-1, that's a hell of a result. And of course, they play us next. And Shrewsbury, because they won again, but you can't say they won against an average team this year. They won against a team that's in the top, what were they, top 4, top 5 against Scunthorpe?
Yeah.
2-0 clean sheet. The journey continues.
I still remember when Leicester won the league and we were in March and I was still saying, it will never last, it will never happen. We're in that situation at the moment with Shrewsbury.
What are you? Any other results picked up?
Well, unfortunately, yes, I do have to tend to agree with you. You don't want to look at other results and say, but Oldham winning at Portsmouth, 2 wins on the spin after getting rid of John Sheridan, I think that is. So they have, we've said it before, they've recruited well, and I think that is going to be one less team at the moment we can hope to finish above. But luckily, there seem to be a few others.
And haven't Oldham picked up the old Chesterfield striker? Is it Doyle?
Yeah, Doyle.
How have they got him off? Well, I know how they got him, but that is a hell of a loan sign. He was at Preston, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think he probably found his level. With all due respect,
possibly, but that's a great signing for Oldham. Absolutely great signing for him. So yeah,
could we not have got him?
Well, he looks like a northern lad, doesn't he? You get someone that just stay up north, don't they? Do you know what I mean? So he probably won't understand language down here. It's much a surprise I understand how George Long survives, from being a Sheffield lad and living in the city. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, sometimes people just don't move from their area, do they? Really?
No, that's a fair point. Who is your hero of the week?
Cool. So I didn't have any football heroes. So my hero was related to helping us out on Saturday. So we had the gentleman from the Spanish Wombles join us, didn't we, on our Facebook Live?
The Condons.
The Condons. What a great name that was. And we had, I'm glad you tried to pronounce the gentleman's name who joined us, because I struggled in when he told us twice. But he joined us, and to be honest with you, done me and Kevin out of a job, because he summed up the performance in a nutshell. And I was like, we don't need us anymore. He was my hero because he come all this way and he was prepared to come on live on our Facebook Live. Yes, so he's my hero. What about yours?
Mine was Will Nightingale, purely because we talk about being a future captain and everything. This is a man now that is just Wimbledon through and through. He is the go-to person for everything the club does, promotes the club, works hard for the club outside of a match day, outside of his working week. And yeah, absolute superstar. What a top guy Will Nightingale is. Absolute credit to our club and should be really the poster boy for our club, I think. Your villain?
The poster boy?
Well, yeah. Well,
he'd do well with that as well. He's a bit of a looker, bless him.
Well, I don't know. I don't think of it in that way, Stu. But here's your villain.
It's just what ladies say.
Right.
And my villain actually is the same group of Spanish Wombles, because they sung the most catchiest song on Saturday, and it's stuck in my head all week.
Was it a Pink song? I know you like your Pink songs.
Hey, Pink's new song at the moment is really good as well. But her album comes out. Do you know? Quality. Absolute love. Not down with the kids. Anyway, no, it's not a Pink song. No, it was just a really weird Spanish song that was very catchy. And the best of the Spanish Wombles, they enjoyed themselves immensely. I think it had a lot to do with the hospitality they received and the drinkage that was received within that. But yeah, they were my villains.
Oh, I'm sure they sobered up quickly.
They didn't. They were behind me, and I actually felt at a stage sorry for them, because I was like, they're going to come all this way and watch a goal to straw, poor people. But it seemed to bother them. It didn't seem to bother them in the slightest, and they had their own great time. But again, yes, this one gentleman started singing a song that was really catchy. All I knew was the Spanish words for it, and I hummed it for I was still humming it yesterday. So thank you. That's my villain for the week.
You were still humming yesterday.
Yes. What about your villain?
Watford, every week.
Same old.
Don't know why they're playing in red away at West Brom. Nonsense. I just wish they'd go away.
You're listening to these fine gentlemen in their new song, One Horse Town. Available now on iTunes and Spotify.
We are running so late, so Stu, we're going to have to try and squeeze. I think the 9 Years podcast, I think for our main feature this week, we're going to have to be about 9 minutes if we want to get everything into an hour this week.
That's right.
You have got 5 ways. This is your 5 keys to victory almost. That's a wrestling phrase as well, sorry. 5 ways to improve our season. 5 things that we need to do to see our form pick up. So what have you come up with?
Yeah, so I've sort of gone for a little bit of a strategy, I suppose, in a way, rather than, it's a points. Yeah, so my first point or strategy would be to acknowledge that we're on a bad run, to bring and get the fans back on side, because I think we desperately need to do that. I think a team that acknowledges that they're not playing well will get more of a support from a team than they will if they're just trying to say there's not a problem. There is a problem.
Can I add to this one as well? Sorry.
Of course.
When we talk about our bad run, which we mentioned earlier, 3 games now we've gone without scoring a goal, which is actually our worst run this season. You think of our problem scoring goals this season, but we've not gone 3 games without scoring this season until now. So you could argue that we are actually getting worse. So yes, we are on a bad run. I had a look, by the way, the League One form table. I think it's Ben Mayhew, isn't it? At Experimental 361, you might have heard about.
Yeah, it's very good.
It is. I know. I don't know where he finds the time to do it, but the expected goals. It's become a thing now, hasn't it? Across all the media, they're all picked up on it this season.
Yeah.
And expected goals this season, over our last 6 games, we have reached a total of 7.7 expected goals, but yet we have reached 8.2 expected goals against. So,
Tells you.
Yeah, but anyway.
And that's what I mean. But hey, look, we have a manager that loves his stats. He knows that. He loves his stats, and about the stats, the stats are unfortunately sometimes the end result. Do you know what I mean? So, I think Neil Ardie would become. I don't want him to be under pressure. The last thing I want is our manager Neil Ardie to be under pressure and making judgment calls that are based on the fact of the fans calling for his head and stuff like that. We have a very, very good manager. He's proved that. I think just by acknowledging, I think the media team needs to help him with that and just making sure that we don't put too many positive starts out there, because that's going against what the fans are feeling at the moment. They're feeling a little bit done for, and they don't want to see a false positivity. They want to just see maybe their manager leading, going, we're on a bad run. We know that. We're in it together. We need to fight together. And then, get that siege mentality, because the atmosphere at the moment at Kings Meadow is shocking. But I strongly believe if we got ourselves in a relegation fight, the irony of it will be, if you have a manager that's going, we need you guys, we need you behind us, we're not playing well, we need you behind us, they will come and fight for you. And all of a sudden your atmosphere becomes a siege mentality rather than a Saturday afternoon shopping, where it feels like at the moment, doesn't it? Yeah, so that's my point 1. Point 2 would be a formation change. Darius coming back in, be tempted to. We've done 3-5-2 before. I strongly believe a 3-5-2 with Darius, Will Nightingale, and Deji would be an awesome 3 at the back, and also would help us actually push forward. My point 3 comes in along with that, because if we did go to a formation change, we have to move Lyle back to being a main striker and playing 2 up.
# play Lyle Central.
Have to. I just find it unbelievable. We've got probably the best striker in our team as our best winger. Again, someone said to me, but he's the best winger we've got. He crosses the ball in great. He doesn't. We don't need him to be our best crosser, because he's more effective, in my opinion, as a centre forward. Yeah,
the argument as well, very simple. Lyle Taylor might well be a good crosser of the ball. How many goals have we scored from Lyle Taylor crosses this season?
None. We haven't. He did last season. Don't get me wrong, put some great balls in last year. Different ball game last year. We had Tom Elliott most of the time up there, didn't we, and stuff like that. So that's my point 3. And also my point 3 would be then we can move Bartram to a right midfield, and Harry Forrester can pick up the left midfield role.
Do you have to worry? So I know I'm not picking on you. I'm really not. We've said I'm not. But
no.
It did come out.
No, we're not. It's not a slaughter.
No. But no, this is for me on my part, for what I'm about to say. was that Neil Ardley comes out and says that Cody McDonald is now our main goal getter or our main goal scorer. And doesn't that speak volumes? Because he's not scored a league goal this season yet. Lyle Taylor, by the way, who should be, he last scored in March.
And that's a striker who Lyle normally would back himself to score, 10, 15, 20 goals a season? You know, Ivor, bless him, would always go, how many goals you can get a season? And Lyle's normally the confidentest person ever to say, yeah, I'll get 15 goals, 20 goals. Or
the confidentist.
Yes, that's not a word, is it? But it is now.
It is now. You've made it great. Confidentist.
The thing is that Cody, at the moment, I do feel for our strikers at the moment as like they're being judged on, rightly so, they're being judged on their goals. But I just don't. I feel unfair at the moment to judge them on that formation at the moment. I just don't feel the formation gets the best out of any of our forwards. I really don't. You know, people are saying, Cody's not any good. Well, he got 12 goals in a team that was struggling last year. So that ain't too bad. The season before that, I think he got 5. He only played 22 games. Before that, he was hitting double figures. This striker he has a history of hitting goals in this league. Lyle Taylor, we know from last season, can score goals. So, yeah, saying, is that Neil trying to put the confidence into Cody and say, you're our main man? Is that what he's trying to do? I think he probably needs to give Lara a little cuddle and stuff like that, because Lara looks like he needs a shoulder to. He just needs. I think that whole team just need a pick me up. It's but the strikers, I find it very difficult to have a go at heavily because it's not as if they're missing chance after chance after chance. We're not getting the chances. So, yeah. Anyway, point 4. So I'd look at recruitment. So there'd be 2 things I'd look at. If we're not going to play Alfie and Egley and stuff like that, get them some short-term loan moves, get them some match time. I think at the moment, sitting on the bench and just watching is not doing any good. The development team at the moment are struggling to get their games in. I think there's one behind closed door and stuff like that. But I would strongly try and get them a loan move if we can, just to get them some match time with a recall option straight away, just so we can do that. And also look at the free transfers. I know, people talk about the crazy ones like the Carlton Coles and the Ricky Lamberts. They're unrealistic. They're not going to come to us. Even though
Ricky Lambert certainly won't, because he's retired today.
Has he retired today? See?
Yeah, he's announced his retirement.
I do find it crazy, though, some of these strikers are out of contract and don't need a club because they're loaded, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? So Carlton Cole must be absolutely loaded. But yeah, that's what I'd look at. Is there any free transfers? Oldham are showing that you can do that at the moment. Are we looking just to see if we can get that target man? We don't need any other different type of forward. We just need, biggest thing we need is just something of about 6'3" and stuff like that. And then finally, I always like to say this sometimes when I'm back to work, but back to basics on the training field. So what I mean by that is just keep practicing and keep practicing. So I'm sure they do. But I just would say now, if the players are not, it's just put extra time in, or just forward drills, hitting the net, all that sort of stuff. I'm sure they do it. It's just not me trying to say this is my revolutionary idea. But it's like anything. The more time you spend on the training field and doing the things that you want to do in a game time, surely that can't harm in a match situation.
That's a very nice list. I would agree with all of those things. And in fact, if I was to put my 5 together, I probably would have had a very similar list. You know what? I'd have added one maybe, and that would be, or change one of those. Change our set piece routines. And I'm not the only one, a little bit concerned about the amount of players that we get back for set pieces and the positioning of some of our players where we get set pieces. And I can't think of a chance we've had where we don't look threatening from set pieces, basically.
But is that a sign also of a lack of confidence? Because you think back to last season, how many different variations did we have last season on set pieces? We know the classic one, and it nearly worked for us against MK on the previous Friday night, where we do a block, we do the reverse free kick, and we have 2 defenders block off the other defenders, and then we get a run on the back, and that was Deji who hit the crossbar. Mm-hmm. But how many other variations have we done? I know people, used to do the one if you're on and let's hope that no one's listening to our podcast who are scouting for any of the other teams, but we used to do the one where we hit flat on the floor. So we did the old Terry Sheringham one, back stick. But yeah, you're right. Even to the extent where we used to have a lot of abuse on George Frankham last year about missing the first man. Well, I could argue on Saturday that Dean Parrott didn't do anything with set pieces. No. But you're right. It's just very much a standard. We get together in a box and we just hope it runs. Yeah, and the imagination is not there that it was. And I suggest that's also just down to a little bit of confidence of actually trying. Do you want to try something out of the ordinary? If it don't work, then the crowd on your back again.
Right, Abdu are you this week? I'm going to change that music next week. I'm sick of it. I'm bored of it already. We're only in October. Anyway, this week, Stu, Jimmy has gone to the hairdresser. That's your first clue. He's gone to the hairdresser. That's your first cryptic clue.
Oh, he's gone to the hairdresser?
Yeah. I know, let's not make any jokes about his lack of hair. He has gone to visit this ex-Wimbledon player at a hairdresser.
Dean Ellsworth.
It's a good shout, but no. I've ruined it for you there because it's definitely, well, no, you'd know it wasn't him after the second clue anyway. Do you know, if you wanted his haircut, you should come to Berlin's because once again we are just inundated with hairdressers with 4. We've got 4 now.
Okay, so obviously you haven't taken a hint in yet.
Oh, very good. Do you know what? I've never known a place like it. Just Chiltern Drive, right by the station. There's 4 hairdressers, like 200 yards of each other. It's like Berlin's is the hairdressing capital of Europe. Anyway, second clue. This midfielder enjoyed 2 spells with us. He didn't seem to leave on the best of terms on either occasion.
Oh, that's naughty. Because there's one that stands out straight away.
Okay.
Who was that? Well, that'd be Vinnie Jones.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Who did return. Although you might be thinking about... Try to think now of any in the current AFC Wimbledon time we had a midfielder return twice. So I know you're going to try and stump me at some point. Didn't leave on best terms. I can't think of a midfielder in the AFC Wimbledon times that did that. Let's think. Midfielder, Vinnie Jones.
You have one more clue?
I'll go Vinnie Jones on this one, but I don't think that's the answer.
Okay, all right. The third clue then. This player scored 6 goals for us in 111 appearances, and he won a promotion from the Ryman 1 South.
Oh, you person. My knowledge is not... When I say my knowledge is not great, I tend to struggle with the amount of players we went through. 6 goals in 100... 6 goals in 100...
111 games, yeah. 111 appearances.
And the Ryan one's South, which would meant he would probably have been combined count... Who was in the midfield at that time? Lee Sybil got a lot more goals than that.
I'm going to help you out a little bit and add to that. When I say he won a promotion from the Ryan 1 South, I believe that was his only promotion with us.
Well, thanks for that, Nick. That really helps an awful lot more.
Well, it means it's not going to be a CCL player, basically.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think of the midfield at that time. Wow. Would it have been... No, you stumped me. I can't think now. Who left on bad terms on each time and then come back?
I didn't say he left on bad terms. I said he didn't seem to leave on the best of terms.
Which is that? Nah, I can't think, mate.
Okay, anagram?
Yeah, go for it.
Seashell Rig.
Seashell Rig.
Don't type it. Don't be typing out on your phone trying to organise them.
I'm not. If you see that would not help me at all. If you saw my face now, it's basically a face that I think I pulled on Saturday. I haven't got a clue what's going on here.
Okay.
No, I don't know, mate. You've done me.
Stumped on this one?
Yes.
It is one mister. Think of a hairdresser. Hairdressing related products. Chris
Gel.
There we go.
No.
Chris Gel.
Did he come back twice? Did he come back again?
Yeah, he left. And then he came back. He left after we'd won promotion from the Ryman 1. And I think he said that for whatever personal circumstances, he couldn't commit to playing for Wimbledon. So I think he played more locally to wherever it was. And then about halfway through the season, I think he had a change of heart and he came back. And then he left when Terry Brown took over. And Terry Brown tried to get in touch with him for a little bit of time, but couldn't get in touch with him. He went AWOL and just said he's not coming back.
How mad is it that I totally forgot that?
Yeah, Chris Gel.
So much happens, doesn't it?
Oh, the turnover of players was huge because of the amount of promotions we had in such a short space.
Yeah, but then I do remember his goal against Aldershot in the trophy.
Yes,
is it trophy?
Yes, it was.
And he had the best song as well, didn't he? Do you know what I mean? Great song, and we struggle sometimes to get songs for our current players. But thanks for that, mate. You've done me. I can't believe what an idiot. Barber Gel. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
it all makes sense.
Well done.
Thank you very much. Right, we are running late.
That's sounding great.
And we are really very, very late. So we're going to have to sum up this Oxford thing very, very quickly. Right, so Oxford on Saturday, yes. Real mixed bag this season. Which comes, I guess you can expect that of a team in transition under a new manager. They've had 2 wins, a draw, and 3 defeats in September. Well, actually, that's a lie because they played 7 games. But in their last 6, they've had 2 wins, 3 defeats, and a draw. But they had an incredible win on Saturday, didn't they? You've already mentioned it, 4-1 at Peterborough, having been 1-0 down. They scored goals, but they also conceded a lot of goals as well. So, Stu, does that mean that we're going to be encouraged and think this is a team we can get at and score goals against because their defensive record isn't great? Or, more likely, is it going to be one that thinks they can score goals, we should probably try and shut up shop and...
Yeah, Joe, it's a weird one to call, actually, because if you look at the goals for Oxford at Peterborough, a lot of them were counter-attacks. So they were... And Peterborough will do that because being a home team, and Peterborough have a decent home record, obviously they fancy themselves to go and turn teams over. So you know one thing that won't happen, we won't go gung-ho to try and get a result. The only thing that sort of goes against that is they did beat Gillingham 3-0 at home, and they have beat Pompey 3-0 at home, so they are capable of putting teams away. I think it's a really difficult game. I don't think they're going to like us too much after we'd done them at their place last year. I think that was quite a bit of a body blow for them, wasn't it, with us committing GBH on one of the goals. I think it's
tackle.
Yeah, we think it's a fair tackle. We know that if it's against us, we've been absolutely screaming blue murder, wouldn't we?
Might be the only tackle that Dean Parrott's ever made.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, I think it's a really difficult game. I really do. They're going to be up for it from the back of that win. I think we're going to, I'll take a draw now. I know the irony is I said I wouldn't take, I don't want to keep getting draws, but I think that's probably the best we can probably get there on Saturday.
Do you know, we just looking at players that perhaps Oxford have that we should have a worry about. They have Jack Payne, who I think this season has got more assists than we have goals.
Yeah, he scored on Saturday as well, didn't he? Didn't he used to be at Peterborough? Is that right? That was his ex-club?
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that rings a bell,
so they do. Yeah, they got Curtis Nelson, centre-half, who I was always impressed with at Plymouth. He's their captain now. They got
Machino, who we mentioned.
Yeah, he was the old Burton player, wasn't he? Yeah. So they got some good players. Oxford, you expect them to have good players. They've got a decent budget there, haven't they, and stuff like that. But we don't normally do too well. But hey, therefore, we went to Blackburn, didn't we, and won there. We weren't expected to. So you never know. The pressure might be off, and we might do well. But I would snap your hand off at the moment for a draw.
Prediction.
Draw.
Prediction. Yeah, all right. Be a little bit more specific.
Oh, 0-0.
I think we'll score. I think we're going to get a 1-1 draw, just to mix it up.
Okay,
in fact,
I hope so.
Last week I went 5-2, so let's keep hoping 4-4. It's going to be a stunner. Yeah. It's going to be a classic.
So you're one of the ones that you score one goal, you'll score loads. Yeah,
we're going to score. We're going to be 4-0 down at half time. We're going to come back and draw 4-4. Yes. Very quickly, just mention it. One other fixture in League One.
1 second.
Don't tell me you've not prepped this every week.
No, I did prep it. I just can't find it.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, the dog ate it. Yeah.
There's a couple actually that I think could be quite interesting. I said it. Northampton home to Bristol Rovers.
Yep.
Because of course we go there the week after, and interested to see how Gillingham do against. So Gillingham are home to Pompey. Gillingham without a manager at the moment. Pompey just got beat at home by Oldham. Yeah. I think at the moment all the teams I've got to look out for, all the teams that are below us. That tells you a story.
Yeah, and unfortunately, all those teams and the teams around us all have winnable home games.
Yes.
The key one is Bury versus Oldham.
Oh, I missed that. Manchester Derby.
Yeah, at the bottom of the table. So if one of those teams win, we only need a point to go above them in the league.
Yeah. Oh, interesting game.
There you go. Yeah, interesting indeed. Right, off we go. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like and subscribe to us if you're listening on either iTunes or YouTube. Also, do not forget, if you don't follow us on social media, please do so already. There will be updates from the weekend's game at 9YRS Podcast on Twitter and Instagram. And, of course, facebook.com/9YRS Podcast. We hope to have Facebook Live updates from you before the game, during the game, well, at half-time, and at full-time as well. So all that's left to say is for me to thank Stu for joining me. He's put his microphone on mute.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for listening. Join us next week when we will be talking to tube and train drivers, because let's be honest, they're not going to be at work, are they? Alexa Bliss, bag first, milk last, and we will speak to you again next week.
the sweeter time.